When people hear budget builds, the first thing they think of is sacrifice performance. But that's not the case for the budget build we have here today. Hello guys, today we're going to be building a gaming, streaming, and video editing PC under $1,000. It's capable of HD streaming, 4K editing, while running any AAA game at high settings 1080p with 60 plus FPS. This PC is not at a high price range, making it semi-wallet friendly and the best bang for your buck. Seriously, if you are interested in starting to take your gaming, YouTube, or Twitch seriously, this is definitely the computer for you. So let's get started. Now, before getting to the PC, I do want to state that it does not include any RGB lighting. If you ever see a YouTube video of a budget build filled with RGB, just know you aren't getting the most out of your money. When we say price to performance, we mean it. We want all our money going into getting our computer to run as best as possible. This may be a deal breaker for some, but the theme I went for was Midnight Black. This PC will sit on your desk discreetly, not bring any attention to itself. Think of it as a dark horse. This style will not be for everyone, so you do have the option to switch out the parts with RGB ones. I will warn you again that this isn't the best idea for building a computer on a budget. Now, on to the parts. So for the CPU, we have a Ryzen 5 3600. It's a 6-core, 12-thread CPU with a base clock speed of 3.6 GHz. It can go up to 4.2 GHz overclocked. The stock cooler it comes with is the Wraith Stealth Cooler, which does its job well, meaning we do not have to spend money on an aftermarket CPU cooler. For this budget build, we don't need an extreme or high-end motherboard, but we need one that can support our Ryzen 5 CPU. We went for the Asus Prime B450MA. Warning, this motherboard has a chance of not having its BIOS flashed for the Ryzen 5 3600. You may need to flash it using a USB with the newest BIOS update. We were lucky enough to have the store we bought it from, Memory Express, flash and install the CPU and RAM for us. You can also upgrade the motherboard to a MSI B450 Tomahawk Max. It will support the Ryzen 5 3600 out of the box and is better at overclocking, but it will be more expensive. Since we have a Ryzen 5 3600, we want the best performance for our money. This means getting 3600 MHz DDR4 RAM, which we find in the G.Skill Ripjaws 5 series. It is very important to get at least 16 GB of RAM for streaming, as some games can take 12 GB alone.
Star of the show of this build is the RTX 2060 KO graphics card. This is a very good card for its price. The KO variant shares the same build as the 2070, so it definitely increases its performance. This card performs well and does not break the bank. For a build like this, you definitely do not want to cheap out on the power supply. Having a bad or cheap power supply can result in your entire PC being fried. So for the power supply, we went with the Corsair CX550, 550 watt. It's semi-modular and honestly, it's fantastic.
The case we went with is the Fractal Design Meshify C, a beautiful case with excellent airflow and includes wire straps for cable management. One thing to note is the glass comes in either tinted or clear, so choose the style you like. For scrubbing through HD footage, we will need a fast hard drive. The Western Digital Black NVMe is one of the quickest SSDs out in the market while also blending into the all black aesthetic. An NVMe SSD is crucial if you are intending to edit and transfer large files between different hard drives. Now let's take a look at how well this PC performs. Here we have Fortnite running on all high settings, 100 plus FPS. Editing and building feels super smooth. When in a match, you can expect the frames to drop to 80, usually when dropping down and loading up buildings, and when fighting with explosives such as rockets, the frames will also drop. Here's some gameplay. Modern Warfare is a really hard game to run, The graphics are incredibly detailed, but we can try and see how it runs all high settings. The frames flutter around 40 to 50, really good for all high settings. The CPU does get hot in these games, but it isn't bad. The stock CPU fan does its job well. By bumping down the resolution to 1080p, you can expect a more consistent 60 frames and above. All in all, the game runs smooth and is nice to look at. Lastly, we have Rainbow Six Siege, all high settings. The computer handles this game extremely well with frames well above 100. It looks beautiful and feels super smooth. To conclude, this computer can handle its games very well. I'm also editing this video on the PC and I'm impressed with its rendering speeds. I've also tried some streaming and you can expect your streams to be clear with 1080p resolution. I'm very happy with how this PC performs and suggest you build it if you're on a budget. Here's a spreadsheet with the part pricing in CAD and USD. In total, we paid $1,289.83 in CAD. We were limited to our local supply, so you can save money by ordering your parts online. Thanks for watching.